Oh, God, this clip is the best. This clip is the best. So Dave Rubin had a guest on here, and in a recent conversation with Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson made the point of, like, look, the ideal family is a man and a woman. Like, that's the ideal marriage. And I remember hearing that thinking, ideal? The word ideal. Really, we're going to use the word ideal? So it's better than? Because that's what ideal means. It's better than. So a heterosexual married couple is better than a gay married couple? So, I mean, look, the next logical question is, okay, is a marriage between people of the same race ideal in that it's better than an interracial marriage? Do you really want to have these conversations? Okay. So Rubin brings up that point in the context of this conversation with this other guy. And honestly, he gets checkmated by his own stupidity. He sets a trap for himself. It's really, I've never seen anything like this before. Let's watch.
A family generally is a father and a mother and then children. Are there ways, that is the norm. That is the norm, and I would say in some ways this is going to sound a little bit weird for a certain amount of people, but that is sort of the ideal. But in the world, not everything is always the ideal. So in the family that we are going to raise, we're obviously going to have two fathers. However, that is not me saying, oh, women are not important, or that there is no difference between men and women or anything like that. And it will it look different than the traditional family? Yes. But how many people do the traditional family truly right, with the best of the mother and the father, and don't do anything to screw up their kids psychologically or physically or anything else? So I think you can say that, oh, there is the norm and the ideal, and then there are things around that and approximate to it that are pretty good too. And the best that I can do is do the best that I can to make something good happen.
What I hear from your things right now is that on the ideal, you would prefer that your children will be heterosexual.
He's not wrong. Based on Rubin's own words, if it's ideal to be straight married, well, you'd prefer your kids be the ideal because you want what's best for them, right? Let's see what he says.
Sexual and to live in the classic ideal family. Men and women.
Well, I wouldn't prefer, well, that's not exactly what I'm saying. I don't know that I would prefer.
When I said the thing, it sounded softer in my mind, but the reality of it put back to me in a more crass, direct way, I'm kind of uncomfortable with the direct interpretation of what my words mean.
That they would be. I would prefer that I am able to raise two children who are functional adults who have an understanding of the way the world works and can find some meaning in their lives and live a life that's important to them. If ultimately they both turn out to be straight, that's fantastic. If one of them turns out to be gay, that's fine too.
So wait, which is it? Which is it? Hey, it's either way, it's great. So now all of a sudden it's equal and nothing's an ideal. But a minute ago it's ideal. It's the ideal to be straight. He just hasn't thought any of this shit through. He's just a babbling conservative talking head who's too dumb to understand the consequences of the arguments that he makes.
No, I mean on the ideal, not if it would happen, you would, of course, you would embrace them if they were gay, of course. But this is not the question.
Yeah.
The question is, what do you think the ideal that you would want your children to be?
Yeah. I guess we're getting hung up maybe a little bit on the word want. I would understand the reality of reality is that the reality of reality, that life would be sort of the easiest, supposedly, although I don't think life is necessarily supposed to be easy.
Oh, man. Dave, please stop. You have to stop, man. Look, here's the bottom line. This is what I'd imagine honestly, I imagine 100% of my audience thinks this, but maybe 99% of it thinks this. Marriage is marriage. Love is love. It doesn't matter as long as you are consenting adults. Have at it. Have at it. There is no hierarchy among those consenting adults in terms of arbitrary characteristics like race or sexual orientation. And that's the default position. And he's gone so down that conservative rabbit hole that clearly he semi-convinced himself, no, the ideal is a straight couple. Well, if you use the word ideal, that means it's better than, which means it's supreme, which means it's almost like a heterosexual supremacist position. That everything else, yeah, you can exist, but let's not pretend like you're really equal to what the ideal is. You're putting yourself in like a second-class citizenship type position, like a downgraded position. And that is disrespecting his own marriage and his own family. And it's so sad because when somebody responded to his point, putting it in a more direct way, he balked. Because then he realized that sounds ugly and that sounds wrong. Correct. I wish you would step back from that ledge, Dave Rubin. Please stop, for the love of God. Now, I got another Dave Rubin's clip here for you. Dave was at the Turning Point USA conference, the young conservative conference. And Dave Rubin clip says here, a concerned Christian asked Dave Rubin why he finds conservatism so appealing if it's built on values that reject homosexuality. And what is he going to do to ensure that other gay people who join conservatism don't spread their beliefs onto others? That's an interesting question. This is probably some young far-right Christian kid. And he's like, well, hold on. You're signing on to our worldview. Our worldview includes that homosexuality is really not good. So if you're in the movement, how do we stop other gay conservatives from spreading the belief in gayness to others? This is when you know you might be in bed with the wrong people. Anyway, so let's see what Dave says.
Crazy question, but what would you... are you...
Trying to up the... Here we go.
If I may ask this, are you gay? I heard you were gay. Now...
He's joking, obviously.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, but this is the reason why I asked.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, and one thing that really draws me to conservatism is seeing the Christian foundations for this nation, how our rights are given from God, not from government. Now, what I'd ask you is...
By the way, that's so made up. Like, that guy said it like, that was a real convincing thing to me. What was convincing about it? Your rights come from Yahweh. Oh, that's so profound. Now I agree with you. I mean, brain's not operating it's not operating too well in that situation if you find that convincing or that appealing.
As a gay person, how would that seem appealing to you? Because you might think, oh, well, Christianity says, I can't be this way. So what would draw you to it? And how would you suggest for like other gay people to say, no, this is a good thing because this is just about giving us the freedom to do whatever we can do and not shove it on someone else.
I should have ended on the hug, huh? That would have been easier.
So Dave knows, like, fuck. God damn it. Come on, I try to pander to you guys so much. Don't ask me tough questions like this. They kind of expose my grift.
Should have ended on the hug. Okay, we got to do it real quick. I'll try to do it in 45 seconds. Well, look, this nation, which is a nation founded on Judeo-Christian principles, is a nation of individual rights. That there are going to be people here who live a little bit differently than you. And I am not here to try to destroy the founding of this nation, the core principles of this nation. I don't think everyone has to be a Christian. I don't think everyone has to be a Jew or a Muslim. But I think there are basic ideas that our founders fundamentally understood that we cannot forget. So what I would say is you are absolutely entitled to your own personal religious beliefs as everyone else is. I would say, and maybe this is a little more of the libertarian side of me, but I think this is totally congruent with the founders, you want to have room for the other people. And if they live in a way that is honest and decent.
The founders didn't view women as equal and had slaves. So that's just such a dumb point.
And defends their love of country and does all of the things that are probably pretty freaking close to the way you live, then that is an extraordinary country. But it isn't easy to attain. We don't all come from the same place. We don't all eat the same foods. We don't all have the exact same accents or clothes or dances or music.
See, this is the pickle that Dave Rubin's gotten himself in, and he's so dumb for going down this path and not realizing it. You cannot, at the same time, flirt with the Christian evangelical conservatism and maintain his, I'm like a libertarian conservative position. You can't do it, because those are contradictory. They're totally at odds. The more libertarian type conservatives are openly against the more evangelical Christian type conservatives. Why? Because they have a fundamental disagreement on so many different issues. You know, legalizing weed, for example. It's the Christian conservatives, the evangelicals, the far right, they're against that. That's different from the libertarian position. The whole live and let live thing that Dave Rubin talks about, for the love of God, it was 195,000. 195,000, wow, wrong. 195 Republicans in the House just voted against the right to contraception. So how do you, Dave Rubin, square that circle? Where, oh yeah, I'm a libertarian conservative. It's all live and let live, bro. That's what I'm about. Then why are you not calling out the 195 Republicans who just voted against the right to contraception? Why are you not calling out the 157 Republicans who just voted against gay marriage? There's only 40-something that voted for it, and you're simping for these people? See, you have to, if you're gonna rep the libertarian conservative lane, you have to rep it. Which means you'll have to take on and disagree with the evangelical conservatives because you disagree on a lot of shit. But he's been flirting with and playing footsies with the Christian conservatism without realizing it's sort of contradictory to the libertarian conservatism. And so now he goes into his little libertarian tap dance, but it's going to fall on deaf ears because you were just snuggling up to theocrats and saying that, you know, heterosexual marriage is the ideal. So he's in over his head so much, and it's so obvious to see. And he's trying to please everybody within that conservative bubble, but it's not possible. It's like trying to be at the same time like an anti-Trump conservative and a pro-Trump conservative. It's like at some point people are going to roll their eyes and be like, you don't even have a position on this and you're just babbling and you found a niche and now you're lost. And that's what happened with Dave Rubin. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.